Hello and welcome to the Strive Celebration tourney. This is Otilio and I am going to be casting some VODs for this tourney. This is a tourney ran by KR and also sponsored by KR in the Breakfast Club Discord server. Um, yeah, we are running a 30 or they are running a 30-person tourney featuring seasons 3, 5, and 7. It is a pick 3 reverse conquest tourney where if you lose with a character, or if you win with a character, you will not be playing them for the rest of the set. It is a best of 3 match. The very first recording that I have here is going to be Dored versus Auromarshmallo, and this will be round 1 of the winner's side of bracket. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. And this is all on YouTube in more than likely hidden videos or public videos that are going to be harder to find. Of course, there is original audio that goes with them on some of these videos that I am doing, but not all of them. And I will more than likely be skipping ahead to the matches specifically to get the stuff as well. Let me see here. I can grab my phone here. Tell you guys a little bit about the matchup here because all of the characters are pre-selected. So for this specific one, Dored versus Auromarshmallo, we have Ryu, Carl, Clover, and Axel, which will be versus... Let me see, where'd it go? It'll be Dan, Taukaka, and Leo Whitefang on the side of Auromarshmallo. And it looks like this video was recorded a little bit laggily, but that's okay. Sometimes that happens when players are recording their own videos. So first up, we're going to go ahead and have Auromarshmallo versus Taukaka versus Axel Low, it looks like, for our very first match of this set. Now, Taukaka versus Axel Low is... It's kind of weird, because Taukaka has a lot of fast things, so Taukaka has the general matchup of she's going to wild swing into you, more than likely knowing what her wild, or sometimes knowing what her wild swing is, and then just coming in. Problem is that Axel has a lot of mobility to get away from Taukaka, but Taukaka also has a lot of mobility in her own right. So we'll kind of have to see how this positioning works out, because if Axel's able to gain a lot of distance on Taukaka, then there's going to come a point when Taukaka just can't do anything anymore. Especially once Axel hits that X-Seed side. I fully expect to see Axel kind of struggle a little bit until they hit that X-Seed side if they don't keep the offensive up. Because as we know, Taukaka's offensive or defense is not as great as her offense. Her offense is mostly where all her strength lies. So we're going to see Axel go first, which is kind of unfortunate for Taukaka because Axel's going to be able to go ahead and get the jump and just start by getting out of there if they want. Either that or striking and trying to build some gauge. Taukaka doesn't have a lot of stuff that hits here. She has a speed 5 and then dive. Her speed 5, though, is going to be matched by the speed 5 of Axel if they decide to go that route, or just a turn 1 cross just to make that distance. Taukaka's specifically a UA only works on initiate, which is the major problem that she's going to run into here. So if I were her, I would make sure to keep this cross in hand and then or either the cross or the double paw strike. More than likely keep the cross in hand. But it looks like Axel's going to initiate a strike here. Going to initiate range 4 spike into the sweep, which will be no good for the Taukaka player here, as they will go ahead and eat 5. Using a sweep into Axel isn't exactly the safest thing in the world, because Axel does have that plus 0 to 2 range despite having the minus 1 speed. So the likelihood of them diving in to you early is very, very low. So I would have liked to see something else, either like a wild swing to just try and mitigate any card loss from hand, or just play the dive to call out something like the Axel dive or whatever. So we're going to see another strike here. Taukaka's going to initiate here with a wild swing, it looks like, which will be the trick edge, which will not do. because yeah, this sweep is going to hit regardless. Even if Taukaka pays the force here, she's going to retreat too, but still get hit by the sweep, because the sweep has that plus 0 to 2 range. And Trick Edge only specifically closes 3 if Taukaka's at the beginning or at the edge of the arena, so it will not hit. Axel will go ahead and put Taukaka down to 19 health, and Tao will go ahead and Axel will generate another gauge. This is a very dangerous part for Tao, because once Axel hits that gauge so it mitigates his speed deficit here, then we're going to end up seeing Tao just kind of melt. Because Axel has a very, very good Xseed kicker and a very good Xseed mode. Not really sure what's going on here. Maybe it's just a little bit of lag. Oh, it was the sweep. I see. That's what it was. It was the hit effect on sweep. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think we just see a prep come out from Axel, which is fine. Axel has an 11-point health lead, so it is. They're sitting very comfortable here. I think Taukaka's initiating with another Wild Swing. Still pretty dangerous because Axel does have a Whirlwind at this range. A Whirl, which can get them out of here. Looks like they're going to play the Axel Bomber, though. Specifically to try and keep their turn. We will see the Ultra come out, but we cannot validate it. And then we'll see the Grasp come out. So Grasp will hit here because it was an initiated Wild Swing. But it's not. It's just going to put Axel back in the corner. Which, I mean, is good on its own. But Axel in one more gauge is just going to leave the corner anyways. And they're already up such a significant lead that doesn't matter. You throw Axel out. I think they only advance 2 with Axel Bomber, if I remember correctly. Not sure why Axel Bomber was stunned there. It does have guard on it. Maybe I'm misremembering the card. Yeah, it's a hit advance too. Never mind, it missed. I was just misremembering the card. Whoopsie daisy. Well, the problem is now we're sitting at range 4 versus Axel. It's just a problematic place in general to be. Yeah, here comes the Axel Xseed, and now Taukaka is pretty much just in the gutter at this point. You can go ahead and run in. I mean, you have to come in and run in. But, yeah. Yeah, at this point, if you just stay in that corner, you're just going to get sickle flashes thrown at you. Yeah, I 100% agree with this. Just advance 3, get back into Axel's face. Double focus and grasp in hand is not going to be great, because if both focuses are out of range and Axel's not going to come back into range to let you hit him. Well with that grasp there, it's also not really doing anything in your hand. So yeah, Tao's just kind of got to get a reading off here or something, but even then it's pretty risky because you don't have anything to read and win with, because everything has its full speed now. I guess you could read Spike and hope, but there's only one Spike left in Axel's deck, which is problematic. Axel, of course, just striking here. As Tao, you just got a Wild Sling. You don't really have anything. You gotta pray for kitty litter. Spike will come out into Rainwater, which will not do it. Rainwater will go ahead and hit and retreat Axel. As Rainwater should be 3 speed. That's actually 4 speed. Man. Yep. Back to Tau. I mean, you gotta get back to Rage 3 somehow. Both Kitty Litters are still in deck if you want to go for the Wild Swing. You also have both Assaults in deck. Problem is you also have plenty of stuff that doesn't hit. Should be one more dive as well. We're gonna go for the Wild Swing anyways. It's respectable. Being down 15 life is pretty rough. Double Paw Strike will not do it. So Takaka will go to range 3, get missed by the focus. Axel will draw a card. Axel's fine with this. It's kind of sad to see a focus slash forced Wild Swing to get discarded or get just kind of tossed like this, but it's whatever. Axel has such a lead that it doesn't really matter at this point. That was on Tau Initiate. I'm not... Oh, yeah. You had to retreat there so you didn't get hit, but you're getting hit anyways. That's actually pretty depressing. Because the +2 range on the focus. Oh. Axel. What a character. Here comes the Assault into the dive. Assault will hit for 4 and give Axel advantage. Axel sitting at range 3 now. Better for Tau, but... Like we said earlier, Tau's not great on defense, so this is still Axel's game to kind of do whatever they want. Well, we ended up back in the corner. Axel at range 3 with Tau in the corner, I suppose. Boosting Sickle Storm. And here comes the strike. Looks like it's just a Sickle Flash. Which is to be expected. I mean, Taukaka's at 5 health. You need 3 Sickle Flashes to kill her. You have 4. Block comes out, generates a gauge for Taukaka. That's good for Tau. We're at an ideal range where most of our stuff hits, so we probably just want to strike here, if I'm being honest. The problem is that we're on such low health that Axel plays a single sweep and we die. We see a strike come out. And it's the slash, which will go first and gain advantage for Axel. Takaka sitting at 1 HP, Axel sitting at 21. Pretty sure we just saw March of the Wicked King get boosted. Pushes Telcock out to range 4. Yeah. There's not much to really say here. We're just still 1 health. Here comes the Cat Spirit 1 Wild Swing into the sweep from Axel. Cat Spirit 1 will go ahead and hit if validated, and then Takaka will die. I don't think you're allowed to validate this. I think you just do, because all you can hope for is block if you don't want to die, or spike. Yeah, you don't validate this and then you hope. I would validate it. I would take the L here. So this is a little bit rough. I would take the L. Take the L. Brush yourself off. Get ready for your next match. And we should be seeing one more game here as well. 1 or 2 more games, depending on how it goes. Looks like, yeah, they went ahead and validated it. So Axel would have taken 2 damage, assuming Takaka didn't just pay an extra force to retreat, and then Takaka would die. Well, 2 to 4 damage, I guess. Alright, see which characters come out next and what we go ahead and do from here. I can't tell if there's like a freeze going on or what's going on here. Let me check video. Looks like we're just getting the next characters out. I'll go ahead and scoot a little bit ahead here. So we see the Ryu coming out from Dored here, and then the Dan coming out from Auromarshmallo. You know, this is one I really wish I had a Dan expert on desk, because Dan is... Season 3 in general is probably my least knowledgeable place. The most... Well, what I can go ahead and say here, though, is Dan is obviously the Season 3 Wild Swinger. They have the critical +1 power, +1 speed Wild Swing. And then a bunch of their ultras that have 0... Or all of their ultras actually have... Except, no. Two of their 3 ultras, because their 3 ultra character have 0 cost if they have no cards in hand when playing it. So... Some of the Dan gameplay, generic Dan gameplay you might see is going to be Dan emptying their hand and just kind of crit wild swinging you. Because if they get an ultra, it's free. The only one that's not going to be free is Leg Taunt, or Legendary Taunt, which is a 2-gauge ultra, which allows you to draw a card and then play a new strike from hand after seeing your opponent's strike. Really cool card. So we'll have to see how this goes. Ryu, of course, being the blue Shoto from the Street Fighter set. They are a footsie-based character with very strong boosts, and that's pretty much their game plan. Is just, they have really strong EXs, really strong boosts. They just have a strong kit. So they just want to box you until you die. Box or boost, and then kill you. So... We're, of course, seeing this from the side of Auromarshmallo, so we do get to see what's in their hand here. We see EX, Godoken, Dive. I do not know the name of that card. The other special in hand, but it's the 1 to 2 7 speed, and then the Ultra. I mean, versus Ryu, you can get away... Well, actually, no, because Ryu has Tatsumaki Senpukyaku. Yeah, Tatsumaki Senpukyaku is a pretty good card. I think there's a decent amount of guard on that. We're going to see the EX Godoken come out immediately. Well, into Ryu's sweep. So we'll just see the sweep, or the Ryu player here, eat 5 damage, and then go ahead and lose the sweep there. Will we see the recursion of the Godoken? I would vote yes, because Ryu has no gauge. But then again, Ryu is also likely to close in, so it's also kind of risky to recur the Godoken, because now we know that your Wild Swing is Godoken. So if Ryu plays any of their 4 speeds, they could just bop your Godoken in the head if you decide to Wild Swing with it. So actually, no, I wouldn't have kept a Wild Swing. I would have taken the gauge. Taken the gauge on the Godoken. And then, I mean, sure, you're out both Godokens, but you're not beating Ryu in a ranged war anyways, because once Ryu starts getting that gauge, they're getting the +2 speed on the crit Hado, which is beating pretty much all of your kit if you decide to stay at range. I think that, yeah, the only thing that doesn't, or that doesn't beat it is Danku Kyaku. Ryu will go ahead and run into range 1 versus Dan. I suppose this is fine. I mean, Ryu has plenty of tools that wherever they really want to be, they just kind of have tools for everything, such as most Shotos do. Have to see how Dan wants to respond with Ryu being at range 1. Looks like we see a prep here from Dan, refilling their hand up here. Might be a little bit intimidated to strike into Ryu, which is perfectly fair. Shoryuken does exist, and Dan is not known for having a ton of guarded moves. Here comes the Senpu Gyaku from Ryu. Into the focus. I mean, this is fine. It's a 3-for-4 trade in favor of Dan. Tatsu will cross Ryu over Dan. So yeah, this is a perfectly fine trade. It is a little bit scary to play focus into Ryu, though, because Ryu does have the 1-inch punch mix-up, which absolutely just obliterates focus. Also has Donkey Kick, which is perfectly fine into focus. That's a little bit scary to play focus into Ryu, but it's fine. It worked out this time. See, EX Donkey Kick get played here. Maybe. I'm not really sure what's going on here. I see face up EX Donkey Kick on Ryu's side. Oh. I see. It's Koryukin. Koryukin was played, it looks like. And I believe the... was the other card also Koryukin, so it's a 0 power Koryukin? Oh no. Well, I mean, Koryukin still goes to Gauge, but I mean, you take 7, get pushed 2, and now Ryu has advantage. Still sitting at range 1. Just fine. Ryu managed to tie up the health totals with that, which is Ryu's pretty happy with. Because 3 and then 7. It's going to be 10. Actually puts Ryu in the lead by 1 HP point. I think we just saw another prep from Dan. I see more cards in hand. The Shiso in hand. Looks like they're looking at the Shisu, perhaps looking to boost it. Specifically to get the crit Wild Swing. Looks like we see the 1-inch punch coming out from our Ryu player. And this is going to be into the dive. Yeah, which it looks like the dive whiffs and goes over the 1-inch punch, and then the 1-inch punch just allows Ryu to move. I'm seeing a Godoken. Oh, I see. Are we looking to potentially play the Shiso here? Problem is if Ryu has the other cross, Shiso's gonna completely whiff. Shiso's also Shiso's fine into focus, but you're still trading. But you're getting advantage, so it's still fine. You also empty your hand this way if you are boosting that. Right. Looks like there's another freeze frame here, so I'm not really sure what's happening. We just discard the Shiso in favor of the Howl? No way. Howl is so much more beatable than Shiso is. No way you just discarded Shiso for Howl. Oh no. Well, sometimes that happens. It's okay. Let's see what Ryu does here in response. Most things should be fine. The only thing that's kind of would be unfortunate is if we played a defensive option here. We see the Shoryuken come out, though, which will absolutely obliterate that Howl Godoken. So Shisa would have also lost there. Because it is Shoryuken, and Shoryuken does just kind of beat both, or does beat both those options. I get what we were looking at with the Howl Godoken trying to dodge any defensive options played at range 2. But the Shiso does get. I think the Shiso would have still been the better option if you went for that play, just specifically because it gives advantage. So you can take another turn after this one, even if it does lose to something. I think it was the better option of the two. But sure, you can beat both. So Ryu's pretty happy with this. Ryu's gonna cross out to range 3. Oh, I see. We played cross into sweep and another strike during that freeze. So Ryu crosses out to range 3. If they're initiating with cross, I imagine we're looking at a potential Hado spam here, which means Ryu's finally hit the Hado, or drawn the Hado. That's pretty safe into Dan, especially when Dan has no hand, because Dan is really looking for that leg taunt or the Dan Kukyaku. Problem is that we see the leg taunt and the sweep in hand. Leg taunt we don't have enough gauge for, so that's one option eliminated. So all we're looking for now is the crit Dan Kukyaku. And it looks like we crit the spike, which is very unfortunate. So we're going to go ahead and eat 4 from that Hado. Next part that's going to happen is we're going to have to take this leg taunt here and choose to advance to, because we cannot let Ryu sit back here and Hado spam us to death. That is just not something we can do. The other option would be to go ahead and CC our hand, specifically either CC our hand or +2 speed, specifically looking for the Danku. Problem is that's a gamble, or that's a bigger gamble, because if we don't get the Danku, we're pretty depressed, or the other dive, actually even the other dive would lose, so we'd have to get the Danku here. So I'd say if I'm playing as Dan right now, I'm more than definitely just moving up to range 2, knowing that we have the recurring Hado on top of the deck. A little bit sad to see Leg Taunt go, but it is fine. We could use Leg Taunt to get the down coup, but I don't think that's worth it. Looks like we're just going to go ahead and prep, though. Or, wait. Maybe we CC'd 2? I'm not really sure what happened here. But we ended up with 3 cards in, or 4 more cards in hand, and we lost the Leg Taunt. So if I had to deduce... Wait, did we Secret Technique? Alright, maybe I'm just really confused. I'm not sure exactly what happened here. We ended up with 4 more cards, and then +2 speed got boosted. Now we're sitting at EX Grass, Spike, Focus, in hand. Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened here, but this says the match is already recorded, so we're just gonna roll with whatever happened. Whatever happened happened. I see my thing going, and I really hope that the washer is not being heard in the background, because that will be so depressing. I did a little snippet where I viewed my recording earlier, and it didn't sound like the washer could be heard in the background. I feel like it sounded like my noise dampening, or my background dampening got rid of it, but you never know. We saw a parry come out from Rio, it looks like here. Not sure what was parried, but whatever was parried was missed, so now we see the hand. Yes, Grass, Spike, and Focus, which, of course, Ryu's pretty happy to see because it does nothing in this situation here. So, once again, we're at the point where Dan is going to have to run up to Ryu in order to play the game. Otherwise, they're just going to die to Hado. Because Dan doesn't have an answer to Hado. It looks like we see the +1/+3 boosted. That is technically another way to go. Looks like we're going to see the Grasp Red. And that should be the end of the game. Which is Metsu Shoryu beats out the Grasp from range 4, and there's nothing that Dan could really do about it. So that will conclude the first game, which was Oro versus Dored. Dored will take it 2-0 over Oro. And yeah, perfect. Thank you guys for joining me for this first game, and I will go ahead and have another game up soon here. Thank you. Have a good one.